Hello, welcome and namaste. I have worked in multiple companies and multiple products that has millions of users. When you work with such humongous user base, you have to think strategically about how you're going to support them without building a humongous support team. In many cases, this is what I have done. You start with capturing all the issues that are arriving. And to do that, you identify all the touch points that your user will go through. These touch points could be the front desk member. If you're working in a banking application, user may reach out and ask them questions about your application. Or it could be the phone calls, customer support number that they typically reach out to. In AdventHealth, where I work 9 to 5, we have front desk team member where patients go for their checkups and talk to the front desk team member. Similarly, we have phone lines where they call. We do have a technical support line as well. So regardless what your setup is, you will have this situation where you have millions of users. Some of them are trying to get your attention. When you look into the type of questions that they have, this vary from the primary issue that they may be facing, the primary business model that you have. It could be an issue with their health, it could be issue with their finance, the bank account, and then it could be issue directly related to your applications. Regardless what the issue is, you have to think about serving them, channeling all these queries to the right areas. So how do you do this? You start with the funnel of all the touch points that you think customers will be interacting with. You identify all those people and you think about how can you help solve the problem at the first point of interaction. So if a banking customer who used a banking application reach out to the team that solved that problem, right, it would be awesome. So that can reduce the issues. If they call a customer support number, can they solve some of the problems, especially the initial problems? So what you do for that, you first identify all these and then you categorize the problems that typically arrive at different places, and you create some kind of FAQ documents. You create some education. You also create awareness in your team, the benefit of answering your users' questions at that level. It's so easy to say, oh, call the support line, but it takes longer for patients and users to call that number, solve the problem, and restate everything. So you will always be able to find 10, 20 different things that your first line of defense can solve. And then if they cannot solve, then what's the process for them to escalate or to tell users to. You do that with your front facing teams. Then you go to the second level where you have the technical support team. You have different other departments who answer questions and solve problems. So in those cases, you work with those teams, empower them with proper training so that they can solve a lot of problems. One of the things that I have done with our technical support team is to help them solve more complex problem, and be able to walk the user with some of those challenges. And then go to the third layer where you have business analyst, a subject matter expert who can solve some of the user generated problems, some of the technical problems, some of the workaround. And then finally you escalate to a developer. When you escalate to developer, you think about the challenges, the issues that are causing volume problem with many people. You don't want to solve the problem that are just causing 1 or 10 users. You want to find the problem that can solve hundreds of issues, hundreds of users. Now, while doing that, think about technical as well as non-technical items. So the technical items where you have a technical bug that you can solve, it could be the performance problem, it could be something that is not working. Then you have simple low-hanging fruits, meaning a screen is confusing or the flow of doing something is very confusing, and you can solve that by changing the layout, adding more labels or more user-friendly wording on the screen, some kind of tooltip instructions, or you can reduce the number of steps that user take to do something or introduce more steps just so that the flow is much easier than before. So sometimes we take things more seriously if it is a big technical issue, but you can solve many complex problem just by making a new flow layout, new labels. I'm going to stop this particular video right now. I hope this was helpful, how you channel a big user base and their support issue with minimal resources.